Hello everyone out there. How are you all doing? My name is Amy Peter. I am reaching you right out of the city of Abuja, Nigeria. It is a hot and sunny Wednesday afternoon here in the city of Abuja. Today I'm going to be sharing my story with you, and I believe that you will be inspired, blessed, challenged, and set up for your own testimony as you listen. I was born into a family of 9, mom and dad inclusive. I am the second child of 7 children. I had a very wonderful childhood. I grew up in a home where my dad was such an amazing man. My mom, simple woman. My dad was more of the disciplinarian in the family. Very loving, firm, and what we called strict, at the time. So we were children that were brought up in a very, very locked up environment, so to speak. And going through primary school, I was one of those kids that topped their class all the time. After primary school, I got admitted to my secondary school. I wasn't topping my class, like I did in my primary school, but I wasn't doing badly also. I went through secondary school as a very naughty girl. That's what a lot of people thought. I was a bit on the stubborn side, like you couldn't get me to do things that I didn't want to do. I did what I wanted, in spite of the fact that I was one of the smallest in my set. So after secondary school, I got admission into the university, and for the first time for me, it seemed like I was beginning to enjoy what you would refer to as freedom. The university environment was an open space for anyone to do what they wanted to do, however they wanted to do it. There wasn't dad or mom to watch after me or watch over me and tell me what to do or what not to do. I was living my life, and I had some wonderful friends in school, and I just found myself doing what they were doing. The in thing was to have one relationship or the other. So as a very excited, happy-go-lucky young girl, you would probably call me wild at the time, I was always having one relationship after the other. I guess it had to do with the fact that I kind of was deriving my value from, or approval from, being in a relationship. So as soon as one relationship ends, I just get into the next one. For me, there was no waste of time. I didn't mourn any relationship, but I just moved on, at every point. So while I was at the university having what you would call fun, I met Jesus. I got saved. And what that means is that I accepted the life of Christ. I turned my life over. My nature was changed. That person that wanted to do all of those stuff that I was doing before was not there anymore. I mean, the desire to hop from one relationship to the other and catch all those fun that girls usually catch on campus was no longer there. I was now a new person. I began to desire something entirely different. I wanted to spend more time with God, get to know this new relationship that I found better. I spent some time in church. In fact, I was becoming a church girl at the time, always in church, attending one program or the other, loving my new life and enjoying myself. So somewhere along the line, one Sunday afternoon, I met this amazing, wonderful gentleman in church, actually. I was walking out of the church premises when I met him. we bumped into each other and we became friends, we became friends. As time progressed, our friendship was getting better by the day. We enjoyed each other's company. He was always coming to my place, and sometimes, I show up in his place. We were good friends, really. So one day he asked me if I could be the mother of his children. Wow. That was beautiful for me, So I told him I was going to pray about it, think about it also. Yeah, I did some of the shakarada babes usually do. I took my time, I didn't tell him I was going to marry him immediately. I spent some time, delayed it a bit. Then one day I said, oh yes, I am going to marry you and I would love to be the mother of your children. So that began for us a new journey. After that response, we were actually worshiping in the same local church. And so we had to make our marriage intention known to the marriage committee, because that's the procedure in the church. So we got registered with the marriage committee and told them we were planning to get married. So they said, okay, they had some requirements that we had to meet before the process began. So they gave us a form to fill. We were supposed to run some tests to prove our medical compatibility. So we were to run tests for blood group, genotype, HIV, and hepatitis B. Those were the 4 tests we were asked to run. And they asked us to go to the church clinic, because the church had a clinic at the time, to run this test there. So we went to the church clinic and did the test. We just went away after the test. We went about our normal activities. We didn't even give it a thought. We didn't think about it. We just went away. So about 2 days after doing this test, we got a call from one of the pastors in the local church that he wanted to see us. So we showed up in his office, and he looked at my fiance then, who is now my husband, and said to him, well, your medical tests are out, and the result shows that you have HIV 1 and 2. He was talking to my fiance, and he turned to me and said, and yours says you have HIV 1 and 2 and hepatitis B. We were like, what? HIV? No. We didn't even give it a thought. That can't be possible. So the pastor said, why don't you go and do this test again? There must be some error somewhere, We said, okay. At this time, my fiance, who is now my husband, was a student, and that medical result was going to determine whether he would gain employment into the organization he was seeking or not. I was already working with an international organization at that time. So we went back to the same church clinic to do the test again, a second time, and we went away. Again, we went away because we didn't think that HIV could be associated with us. You know what I mean? So we went away, and the same pastor called us again about 24 hours, I think, later, and said, okay, the results are out again. And it came back the same, HIV positive, and you HIV 1 and 2 and hepatitis B positive. Then he said, I sense a conspiracy here. Why don't you go and do this test again in another equally reputable laboratory in town? He recommended for us a lab in town where we could go and do the test. So we left his office. You know, we were talking and we thought, this is more serious than it appears. But how possible is it that we have HIV? He was a Christian, and I was also a Christian at the time that we met. We had never had any kind of knowledge of each other. By that I mean we were not involved in premarital sex. So we had a very pure relationship, you know, a Christian relationship. So we were wondering, how come, what kind of coincidence could this be that he would have HIV and how also have HIV? And, you know, we thought, okay, so what are we going to do? In any case, there might be something wrong with this church clinic laboratory. So let's go do this test where they recommended. So we went to EchoScan in the city of Kaduna, and we had the test done. You know, after doing the test, we left, we went our separate ways.